Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from District Metals, chatting again with the president and CEO Garrett Ainsworth. Garrett and I are following up on the most recent news release from just yesterday, September 24th. Mobile MT survey results at the Viken property in Sweden. Now, Garrett, just to start off here, I guess we should explain what these mobile MT surveys show you, what the strategy or goal is behind these, and what came out of these results. If you could, just simplify it all for us.
Yeah, great to be on with you. So we did some forward modeling with this airborne mobile MT survey just to have a better feel that it would work. And thank goodness it did work extremely well. It actually worked even better than we thought. So mobile MT is like a passive electromagnetic system amongst other measurements it takes. And essentially, it confirmed the Viken deposit through showing that it's got a signature that's low resistivity, or another way to say it is high conductivity. And then the really exciting part, is that it also picked up 9 other target areas outside of the Viken deposit that look as good or better than the Viken deposit itself. So there's actually 3 target areas, A, B, C. Each one of those looks, larger and stronger in terms of its geophysical signature compared to the Viken deposit.
Now, Garrett, what do you mean by this confirmed the Viken deposit? Because we already know this is one of the largest uranium deposits in the world. So, how do these surveys further confirm this deposit since we already know it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, with the Viken deposit, we have drill holes obviously throughout that's, form the basis of a mineral resource estimate. So what's happened here is that when we're looking at the mobile MT results in cross section and we add in the historic drill holes, they confirm each other perfectly. So it's like a one-to-one correlation. Wherever we're hitting in those historic drill holes, wherever there's alum shale, that is where the conductive signature is located. And the reason why there's a conductive signature within this alum shale is because they have a lot of graphite and they have some sulfides. And so those are reflecting in the survey as being conductive. And that's very important because the graphite, the more graphite you have in the alum shale, typically the better the grade of metals is found in the alum shale. And typically the thicker the alum shale is. And not to get too technical, but one of the reasons, why the grade becomes better with graphite is because the alum shale was a mud on the bottom of the ocean once upon a time, and the more carbon that was in the mud means the more ability it had to suck in metals. So therefore the grades would become better. And then that carbon turns into graphite over time.
Okay, that's interesting. We can see in figure two how this survey overlaid with the drill results shows, I guess, that confirmation. What about these other targets? You said there's 9 targets in total. What does that mean for this project? Are you going to go after these targets? Give us some more clarity on just how big some of these targets are then.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously these results from the mobile MT are fresh off the press. So we are still, discussing internally exactly the path forward. And I believe we'll reveal exactly what we're going to do for the path forward after the uranium moratorium is hopefully lifted in Sweden, which should happen in the fourth quarter of 2025, and with the idea that the legislation to lift the uranium ban will hopefully happen on January 1st, 2026. But I mean, it kind of goes without saying that it warrants drilling, especially for target areas A, B, C, that just show such amazingly strong signatures of conductivity or low resistivity that's telling us there's graphitic alum shales there and that they're quite thick.
Yeah, figure one, we can see those blobs that you have outlined. Talk to us about the depth of these targets then, because the Viken deposit pretty much at surface, very close to surface. Is it similar for these other potential areas?
So the figure one in the news release is actually a depth slice of minus 100 meters below ground surface. So it's very shallow. And yeah, I would expect it to be near surface or almost outcropping in some areas. like what we see at the Viken deposit itself. In target areas A and B, I believe there is some swamp, which would be, masking. You can't just walk up and see the alum shale outcropping, but that's a good thing because it would have been found earlier. And it's also good for us from a social license standpoint in that target areas A and B specifically are almost entirely woodlands or swamp.
So then what about potentially proving out these targets into some sort of resources? The uranium, if you don't need to drill overly deep, would you need to put a lot of holes in here to prove out some sort of a deposit?
Well, that's the great thing about these alum shales and being sedimentary rocks, and the continuity in grade is so good. And now that we will have guidance from the mobile MT survey, to get to a mineral resource estimate with inferred, the drill spacing is 300 meters. So theoretically, if you drill 9 holes, you would get a 600 meter by 600 meter area. If the alum shale within that area is 100 meters thick, you would come close to having 100 million tons of alum shale mineral resource right there. And that's a fairly small footprint. And that's kind of what we're thinking for possibly moving forward with a PEA, around 50 million tons to 100 million tons kind of target.
So those A, B, and C blobs, those are massive blobs. I see the scale at the bottom left of that map in figure one, but what is the overall size that you're looking at these A, B, and C, especially when you compare it just to the south where we can see that blue outline of the inferred resource and the green outline of the indicated resource. Again, overall size that you would have to test of these A, B, and C targets.
So yeah, A, B, and C target areas, they absolutely look better from a geophysical standpoint than the Viken deposit itself. But again, I think the plan here would be to go after the best parts of those target areas and then try to create a resource around there. And when I say the best, I mean we're looking for the shallowest alum shale, the thickest alum shale, and then in an area that's got, the best possible social license.
So, what further work do you need to do outside of the moratorium being lifted for you to have actual drill targets or actual places where you would put the drill?
We are good to go with the mobile MT. There's no other work that needs to be done, and this mobile MT sets us up for drill targets. So we haven't actually picked the drill targets yet. That's coming up. That's what we'll be doing over the coming weeks. But it's fairly easy to go line by line and see how the alum shale sits in terms of like its depth from surface and hopefully its thickness as well, and then kind of base our areas to concentrate on that information.
Garrett, just a kind of a big picture question here is you acquired these projects really not that long ago when people were, for the most part, completely ignoring Sweden and uranium or energy metal potential because of that moratorium. You acquired this project, I gathered, from the already known deposit, this Viken deposit. But now with all this exploration potential, was that on your radar when you moved into this area?
Yes, the thought was these alum shales, they're not tiny deposits by any stretch. I mean, I think if you look at the Viken deposit, it goes, east west about 4 kilometers and north south it goes about 6 kilometers. These are huge in terms of the surface area, but you would never want to mine that size of an area. So you want to pick off the areas again where it's like shallowest and thickest. And so once we started kind of diving into the technical side of things, we wanted to stake up as much ground as we could. I mean, and that's why we also have additional alum shale properties further to the north. I think we hold almost 80,000 hectares. And it's good because it also provides optionality as well.
So, Garrett, final question then. What other news is coming? What other work is going on at some of these other projects in Sweden?
Yeah, so we've just been flooded with airborne geophysical data, which is a lot of fun. So we still have to release the drone radiometric and magnetic survey results for our Ardnasvarre project, which is not alum shales. It's actually target that's more intrusive related and potential unconformity related uranium mineralization. So we'll have news out on that in the coming weeks. And then we'll also have news out in October about the mobile MT results from our alum shale properties located to the north of the Viken property that we flew right after Viken. So that'll be really exciting to put out as well.
All right, awesome, Garrett. Thank you very much for this update. Again, Garrett Ainsworth, President and CEO of District Metals. Company is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol DMX, on the OTCQB under the symbol DMXCF, and the Nasdaq First North Exchange, DMXSE SDB. If you have any follow-up questions for Garrett, please send me an email. I will also post a link to the District Metals website in the show notes so you can read over that news release and note figures 1 and 2 that Garrett and I were discussing. Garrett, again, thank you very much for your time in this update today.
Thank you very much, Corey. That was great.